your F8 exam. So how it works is you have section A and you have section B. Section A is worth 20 marks and section B is worth 80 marks. In section A, you would be asked multiple choice questions, and these multiple choice questions can be 2 marks or 1 mark. Now, it can be tested from any area of your syllabus because it's multiple choice and you can't really predict what's going to come, so it can be tested from anywhere. Now, when you're talking about section B questions, you have 2 20-mark questions and 4 10-mark questions. Now, how it works is you could be asked a 20-mark question on substantive procedures. Now, they can give you a scenario and they can ask you to give some kind of substantive procedures based on the scenario that's given, or you could just be directly asked what are substantive procedures for receivables or sales or even inventory. Another area that can be tested for this 20-mark question is audit risk. So you'd be given a scenario, you'll be asked to identify the audit risk, and for the audit risk that you have identified, give the auditor's response. Another area that can be tested for the 20-mark question is internal controls. So you'd be given a scenario. Usually there will be deficiencies in the scenario. You'll have to identify the deficiency, give a recommendation, that is, put a control in place. What will the management do? And what will the auditor do? That is, give a test of control. Now for the 10-mark questions, the areas that can be tested are ethical threats. So again, there will be a scenario where you have to pick out the ethical threats, and for each ethical threat, you will need to give a mitigation. Or it could be a question on conflict of interest, or it can be the elements of an assurance engagement. Another area that can be tested is internal auditors. So it can be what are the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing an internal audit function, or what are the other assignments that an internal auditor does. Or it can also be, if we use the work of experts, what are the things that we need to consider. Now, another area that can be tested is corporate governance. So what they can do is give you a scenario where there are weaknesses in the scenario, as in the corporate governance is not being applied properly. So you need to find out what the weaknesses are and tell what you're supposed to do, what is the right way to do it. You could also be asked a question on audit committee. What are the advantages of having an audit committee? What are the disadvantages of an audit committee? Or even the functions of an audit committee. Another 10-mark question could be on completion. There's always going to be a question on completion. It can be either going concern or subsequent events, and it will be with giving an opinion on the audit report. What's the audit opinion going to be? Now, the examiner can do something else and put this as a 20-mark question, where she sort of combines the going concern and subsequent events together and then give an audit opinion. Now, just a few things for you to remember before the exam. Make sure you start every question that you do on a new page. Also leave a lot of space, okay? Don't write an answer without leaving space. Just make sure you leave lots and lots of space. Make sure you put headings. You don't need to have complicated headings. Just simple headings are good enough. For ethical threat questions, don't put the threat as the heading. Don't put self-interest threat or self-review. Just pick out things from the scenario and put that as heading. Just simple headings are good enough. Columns. Do the questions in a column format because it just becomes easier. So for example, if you're taking audit risk, so for the audit risk that you have identified, you don't want the auditor's response for that particular risk to be on the next page. Okay, it's just so much more easier if the risk and the auditor's response are just side by side. Now, there will be 1 or 2 things in the exam that you might have never seen before, but don't worry too much about it because all the other things you will have seen before. So don't stress too much about it, don't panic, and you will be great. So good luck for your exam, and I hope you guys do well. Thank you.